No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and Mammon. There's a spirit at work in America. Here since our founding, that spirit's insatiable thirst for profit has led to innumerable deaths. He grew in power for a time, largely unrestrained, but the people's cries were eventually heard and he was, temporarily, shackled. America's economic history is marred by exploitation. Company towns like Lynch, Kentucky ruled their employees' lives, providing just enough to keep them working, paying them in scrip only usable at company stores, and busting attempts to unionize with violence. The infamous Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire of 1911 put the careless corner cutting of corporations on full display. Poor working conditions, a faulty fire escape, and locked doors to avoid meetings with labor activists all led to the gruesome deaths of 146 workers, most of which were young immigrant women. Such abuses eventually inspired an age of regulation. Safety standards, child labor laws, the 8-hour workday, and the right to unionize. The government stepped in on behalf of workers to enforce the care corporations were unwilling to provide. Countless fatalities and unheard pleas went to prove that corporate problems require corporate solutions. In the end, Mammon will do whatever it takes to increase profits. This is the personification of greed or exchange, his name taken from Mammon in Matthew 6:24, often translated money. This is the spirit behind all of the human sacrifice we've mentioned. As long as the profit motive exists, and especially when corporations reach astronomical size and are tempted at every corner, Mammon is at work. Whatever other motives may be present in corporations, it's important that Mammon is acknowledged and regulated. Since the close of the regulatory age in the 1980s, corporations have made massive strides in consolidating power, fighting legislation, and buying off the government that sets the playing field. Regulation and antitrust enforcement were prime targets, and the revolving door went into full effect, corporate insiders populating government agencies. Lobbying spending to influence government decisions exceeded $4 billion in 2023. Meanwhile, 55 major corporations paid $0 in federal taxes, while spending $450 million to influence the laws they refused to fund. Consolidation of our hospitals has left 90% of the market without meaningful competition. Prisons, schools, and infrastructure are being increasingly privatized, increasing profits while moving those industries beyond the reach of democratic accountability. America is moving toward what some call techno-feudalism, and, in my opinion, toward the Matrix. Corporate control of government policy, monopolies over essential industries, and undemocratic control of public goods could set the stage for something worse than company towns. All this is not to condemn evil capitalists as much as it's to name what Mammon does to all of us. Increasing corporate power brings increasing temptation to inhumane behavior. With no collective measures to prevent such action, we can expect corporations to behave accordingly. This is what history has shown, and it's not good for anyone, unless we see wealth as some ultimate good. Capitalism was invented by man, not for the purposes of mammon or capital gains alone, but for human flourishing. When Mammon succeeds in co-opting these systems, and his followers are overwhelmed by temptation, it's imperative that we the people who govern these systems step in and regulate them. The government, in all its functions, is meant to be by and for the people. Many now distrust it in part because of its capture by corporate interests, putting Mammon over the public good. But this cannot be reason to despair or surrender governance to corporations. We must restore government's purpose. Mammon must be restrained.